The idea behind virtual machines is to create the illusion of several computers running within one actual physical computer. Virtual machine implementations involve several components. The host is the underlying hardware system that runs the virtual machines. The virtual machine manager creates and runs virtual machines. Each guest process is provided with a virtual copy of the host. Usually, the guest process is an operating system. Virtual machines are sandboxed from the rest of the system. The host is protected from the virtual machines, and the virtual machines are protected from each other. A virus inside a guest operating system might damage that system, but it won't be able to affect the host or the other guests. One feature common to most virtual machine managers is the ability to freeze a running virtual machine. Virtual machine managers also allow copies and snapshots to be made of a guest. A snapshot records a point in time, and the guest can be reset to that point if necessary. With virtual machines, multiple operating systems can be run on the same physical computer at the same time. When a virtual machine is no longer needed, it can be deleted. System programmers can do system development on a virtual machine instead of on a physical machine. This reduces the risk associated with making changes to an operating system. Another advantage to doing system development on a virtual machine is that the computer system doesn't have to be taken out of use until a completed and tested change is ready to be implemented. Cloud computing is made possible by virtualization, in which resources such as the CPU, memory, and I/O are provided as services to customers using Internet technologies. One type of virtualization is emulation. Emulators allow applications written for one hardware environment to run on a very different hardware environment, such as a different type of CPU. Virtual machines are not as efficient as a physical computer because the resources are distributed indirectly through the virtual machine manager. Because emulators have to translate instructions meant for one hardware environment into the instruction set of another hardware environment, programs often run more slowly in emulators than on the original hardware. Creating a correct emulator is difficult because, in essence, this task involves writing an entire CPU in software.
One of the best virtualization programs available on macOS is VMware Fusion. In this video, I am going to show you how to create a virtual machine and use some of its features. First, you are going to have to download and install VMware Fusion. Before creating a virtual machine, you should have an ISO image or a DVD disk of the operating system that you would like to install. Most ISOs can be found on the website of the creator of the operating system. Either one works. Once you have that prepared, open VMware Fusion. You will have to click the plus sign and New to create a new virtual machine, and then install from the disk or image to continue. I have the ISO, so therefore I will drag it. Now VMware has detected that this is a Windows 10 installation, so click continue. And it also has a cool feature built in that lets you set up your user account right now instead of doing it much later. So you can set up your user account right now, add in a password, and this makes the setup much easier. And then make sure that you select the current operating system that you're installing, because that's important, because it will customize the virtual machine to its needs. So mine is Windows 10 Pro. And then click continue. And then for integration, just choose whatever suits you. In this case, I'm just going to choose isolated. So continue. Once you are done, you're going to get a summary of what your virtual machine has been set up as. If you would like to change anything, you can always click customize settings, which is right over here, or change it later. And otherwise, you can click finish, and it is going to ask you where you would like to save your virtual machine. So I'll save it in the default virtual machines folder that I created. And once I save, it will automatically start up the virtual machine and start installing it with the ISO that I provided, or DVD in some other person's case. Once it's done installing, it will boot into the virtual machine and you are ready to go. Here's some cool things you could do on macOS that you really couldn't do before. What if you want to draw something using Microsoft Paint? Well, now you can. Voila. Or what if you want to surf the web using the famous Internet Explorer, because why not? You can do that as well. Or what if you wanted to go back to Windows 98 just to watch your favorite screensaver? Yeah, scratch that. But those other two are examples of software you can run that don't work on macOS, and you can use it while you're on macOS. And this is very ideal for testing Windows applications on Mac. VMware also includes tools that help you while you're using the virtual machine. So for example, what if you want to make it full screen? It will automatically resize it for you, which is really neat. And let's say you want to go back into small size, it will fix that as well. You can also shut down your virtual machine, which is like turning off any computer, and you can also restart it. But now let's say you're working on something like this beautiful masterpiece in Microsoft Paint and you want to access it later. You can simply suspend the virtual machine, which pauses it, and then later you can pick up where you left off and continue working on your beautiful masterpiece. Now let's say the virtual machine is slow, like it's incredibly slow and you can't do anything. You can shut down the virtual machine, because in order to modify its settings you need to turn it off. So shut down the virtual machine and then click virtual machine and go into its settings. And here you can customize so many different things. So let's say I want to increase the memory to 3 GB of RAM or something different. Simply type in the number or adjust it. And let's say the processor is too slow. I'll give it 2 cores. Simple as that. You can also add a file sharing option to share your files, and you can also change the hard drive disk space. So let's say it's too small, you can add more gigabytes. In the end, this is a very easy, convenient way of running another operating system on top of your operating system, and it benefits both advanced and basic users.